Hi, in this video we're going to look at some properties of variance. So let me start the video by reminding you of the definition of variance. So for a random variable, we calculate the variance of x. The definition that we started with was it's the second moment about the mean. So that's the expected value of the square of cap x minus mu. And then we showed in a previous video, just using some algebra and the fact that expectations is a linear operator, we show that that's also another way we could calculate the variances by taking the second moment and subtracting the square of the first moment. Okay, the first property of the variance that I want to discuss is that the variance is always going to be non-negative. It will never be a negative value. And that's pretty clear, I think, by looking at the variance from using just the definition that you're taking the expected value of the square of cap x minus mu. So when you take cap x minus mu and you square that, those are all non-negative values. And then when you multiply those times either the probability mass function if it's a discrete random variable, or the probability density function if it's a continuous random variable, those density and mass functions are always non-negative also. So you're taking everything's non-negative. So when you take the variance, you're going to get a non-negative value. And not only will it be non-negative, but when the variance is equal to 0, it means that the random variable is a constant. In other words, it's not even random at all. I mean, that's kind of what variance is telling us, is how spread out the data is. And we've determined, or we defined variance, excuse me, we defined it in a way so that our measure that we get, the numeric value that we get, is going to be it's going to be 0 if there's no spread to the data. And if there's no spread to the data, that means no spread to the random variable. That means the random variable is just a single value, a constant. It's not really random. It's just a constant. Okay, so that's property one, that the variance is going to be non-negative, and the variance is 0 if and only if, that double arrow there means if and only if the random variable is a constant. Okay, second property has to do with how do we handle some constants. So the second and the third property, actually. So if you take a random variable cap x and you add the same constant to all the values of the random variable, you're just kind of shifting the random variable. And you're not changing how the random variable is spread out. And the variance, again, is giving you a measure of how spread out the data is. And so the variance of a random variable plus a constant, adding the constant doesn't do anything to the spread of the random variable. And so the variance of a cap x plus c is the same as whatever the variance of the random variable itself was. In other words, variance is translation invariant. Let's look at an example in the discrete case. So in the discrete case, we did this example in a previous video, and so we found out that the first moment was 570 and the second moment was that 349,000, which would give us a variance then being the second moment minus the square of the first moment. The variance then would be this 24,100 number. So let's apply this. Let's see what happens with using, I'm looking at property 2. Let's use a C value of a negative 500 and see what happens. So now I'm looking at the random variable of a cap x plus a negative 500. In other words, cap x minus 500. So what are the values of cap x minus 500 if cap x is this discrete random variable in that first table? Well, I just subtract 500 from all of the values of cap x. So I'd get 400 minus 500, 500 minus 500, and 800 minus 500. And that would be my random variable, cap x minus 500. And then the variance, I'm interested in calculating the variance of this random variable, cap x minus 500. So I'm grouping the cap x minus 500 as my random variable. And I'm going to use here what I highlighted in red up top. I'm going to use the fact that it's just going to be the second moment minus the square of the first moment. So what's the first moment of this random variable? It's the sum product. So it would just be the minus 100 times 0.2, 0 times 0.5, 300 times 0.3, add those together, and you'll get 70. Now, I kind of knew that was going to happen because of properties of expectation that we talked about before. If you look at the line under the second table, expectation of cap x minus 500, well, I know that expectation is a linear operator, so that's just going to be the expectation of cap x minus 500, and the expectation of cap x from the first table was 570. So I kind of knew that I was going to get a 70 when I did that. Now, what about the second moment for this random variable? So I'm just looking at the second table. I'm going to calculate the second moment of that, of the random variable in that table, cap x minus 500. So the second moment would be I need to square the minus 100 and then multiply by 0.2, square the 0, multiply that times 0.5, square the 300, multiply that times 0.3. And when I do this, I'll get, what I get, 29,000 when I take the second moment. And now when I, is that what I get? Yes. And so now when I do the arithmetic, I'm sorry, I couldn't see the numbers very well. I got 29,000 as the second moment. And so the variance is the second moment minus the square of the first moment. And I'm back to the same answer that I got before, which is that it's 24,100 is the value of the variance. So the variance of, if the variance of cap x is 24,100, then the variance of cap x plus any constant, adding the constant is not going to change the variance. So it's going to be the same as whatever the variance of cap x was. Okay. All right. So now that was property 2. Let me clean up. Let's look at property 3. I mentioned dealing with a constant again in property 3. And this time is, how do you factor out constants? So if C is a constant, what if I was taking the variance of a constant times the random variable? How do I handle that? And the fact is that you'll pull out the constant by squaring it. So the variance of a constant times a random variable is the constant squared times the variance of the random variable. In other words, variance is not a linear operator. Linear operators, like expected value or derivatives, would say, oh, well, if you have a constant times something, you just factor the constant out. Here you're not factoring the constant out, but you're factoring out the square of the constant. So the variance is not a linear operator. So let's look at a reason for this. It's not too difficult to see the reason that this is true using what I have highlighted in red here, that the variance is the second moment minus the square of the first moment. So let's kind of go through that thought process. So now I'm looking at, well, what would the variance of a C times cap x be? So I'm going to replace what my random variable in red up above with, I'm replacing a cap x with a constant times cap x. So the second moment would be the square of C times cap x, and the first moment would be the expected value of C times cap x. Okay, so let me highlight some things in red and green here so I can show you what I'm doing. Of course, C times cap x squared is the same as a C squared times cap x squared. That's just algebra. And the expected value, what's in green, I'm using that the expectation is a linear operator, so I factor out the C there. Expectation of C times cap x is just C times the expectation of cap x. And so that's what I have at this point. And now I'm going to use on the red, what's in red now, I'm going to use the fact that expectation is a linear operator. I'm going to factor out C squared. C squared is a constant, so I'm going to factor it out. I get a C squared times the expectation of cap x squared. And on the second term, let's see what's in green there. I'm just going to use some algebra here, and A times B squared is just an A squared times B squared. So I'm getting a C squared times the square of the expectation of x. And at this point, both terms have, I got a two-term expression, that last expression. Both terms have a C squared. I can factor it out. And after I factor it out, I recognize that what's left is just the variance of the random variable cap x. And so I get the result here that the variance of a constant times cap x is equal to the square of the constant times the variance of cap x. And I've got one more property, and that's what happens when you have constants a and b in an expression like a times cap x plus b. So the variance of an expression that looks like an a times cap x plus b, where a and b are constants and the cap x is the random variable part, is just going to be a squared times the variance of cap x. And it's not hard to see that. So as a reason here, let me show you. We can use properties 2 and 3 to show this. The reason is that if you take the variance of A times a kappa x plus B, adding that plus B, it's a constant. Adding that to the random variable A times kappa x is just not doing anything to the spread of the values. It's just shifting the values. It doesn't do anything to the spread. So the variance of an A times kappa x plus B is just the variance of an A times kappa x. That's from property 2. And then property 3, we just showed the way to factor out the way to factor out constants is you pull out the square of the constant. So that's an A squared times the variance of kappa x. So that's from property 3. Okay, so that's our properties of variance. And we'll be using those properties quite often in later videos. All right, I'll see you in the next video.